Hey everybody, I hope you all are safe and dry and have not been impacted too heavily by the tropical storm. I know it's just a tropical storm, not a hurricane or anything, but there's a lot of rain, so hopefully everyone is doing well. We did have a little bit of water damage here at the church, but as far as I can tell, all of our production gear is unaffected and in good condition, so um, it's a blessing. Thank God for that for sure. So service review today. Man, yesterday was an interesting service. I think it was a lot of fun. Um, Guest speakers are always interesting. They always change the service up a bit. And that combined with the helicopter on stage, the crazy rain outside, it was definitely a service to remember. So thank you to everyone who served. It's I say it, but we genuinely could not do it without you. So appreciative of you guys, every single one of you who are on the team, who serve, who give their time. Seriously, such a big blessing. Um, Today I will just be looking at second service. I've gone and reviewed things, and for the most part, everything that I need to address we can find right here. So that makes it a little bit easier for me. We don't need to be jumping back and forth between services. Um, a lot of the issues that we're going to look at are things that pop up at different points, not only in this service, in others on different Sundays. And so, just want to get right into it. So as you can see, the shot that I have pulled up right now is out of focus, which is an issue that we've been talking about for a little while now. So having just done Video Director this past Sunday, I will say that it is more difficult for the video director to notice when a shot is out of focus than it is for the camera operator. Until that shot is live, sometimes you can't really tell that it's out of focus, especially if it's just a little bit. So camera operators, that should be your number two priority, second to following the video director's instructions and getting your shot in frame, is making sure you are in focus. So you are probably going to have to adjust that focus knob a lot, and that's okay. Just make sure you stay on top of it, because the video director can't always tell when they're previewing shots whether yours is in focus or not, especially if it's just a little bit like this. So it does go into focus. So we go ahead and let this play here. You'll see it go into focus while I talk about the next thing, which is this shot in particular, this song in particular. I feel like the energy online was pretty minimal. Like, this is a very upbeat song, and there's a lot going on, but we didn't have much movement. The shots were pretty tight. We didn't do anything very wide. And so I just want to just major a little bit on energy. Um, when we have slower songs, more intimate songs, those uh, close up shots, less movement, less changing of the camera angles are all really, really great because they help draw people into that intimate moment. But when we have a big moment or big songs, we can move a lot more. We can cut a lot more. We can use wider shots. All of these things help add energy, and we don't want to be doing it randomly. Do it intentionally. If there's a big drum part of the song, we can switch to the drum cam if we have it that week. Um, so be intentional, but we can move around a lot more. And I will say that I feel like once we got into the second song here, it was a little bit easier for me to feel like we had better energy. Part of it is this is a slower song, so there's a lot of moments where we want some tighter shots, some less movement, but I just feel like the energy overall was better on this song. So just as you're cutting together shots, video directors, just make sure you're doing your best to match the energy of the song, match the energy that you feel like is happening in the auditorium, because we want to create that immersive experience as much as possible. I will say as well that during this second song, the background vocals from an audio standpoint stood out a little much. I'm just going to turn that up slightly so you can hear it.
Open door after open door.
Let's see.
Here it comes, so get ready for another one. 'Cause another one is on the way.
So overall,
Another one.
doesn't sound too bad.
Yes, another.
Um, those background vocals you can really treat as kind of like an instrument, unless we are in a really big chorus or something like that. We still want to hear them, of course, but they can be a little bit uh, more subdued into the mix. So just listen for that type of thing would be great. Um, when we get into, here's like a big moment of service that I had some issues with. So when we get into this part of the service where Lanisa is doing God First Sunday, so this is a great example. We had a couple of issues, not only here, but also during the message, in pretty much every service, with composition and framing in this sense. And so what I'm looking at here is Lanisa is lined up in the left third of the frame, which is fine. We do rule of thirds. But she's also looking to the left. And so what it looks like is she's looking off screen, or looking to a wall, or for as what we're watching, as far as we can tell, we don't know what she's looking at. And it just feels wrong. And so when you have a subject who is in a third of the shot, who's not centered, and they're looking either left or right, a rule that you want to keep in mind, this is for camera operators, is that if they're looking to the left, keep them in the right third of the shot. And if they're looking to the right, keep them in the left third of the shot. You want the area that they're looking to be the open part of the frame with the negative space. So if Lanisa were looking the opposite way in this frame right now, it would look significantly better than how she is now, where she's looking to the left. So just something to keep in mind when we're talking about framing and composition. And then there's another issue with this part of service, which was that the reverb and delay of the vocal effects on Lanisa's microphone did not get turned off. So while she's speaking here, there is echo and delay happening on her vocal. And it's minimal, but it is distracting just to have it be there. If I turn this up a little bit, you'll be able to hear what I'm talking about.
This is the first Sunday of a brand new month. It's what we like to call God First Sunday. What do you need God to do in your life? How can you put Him first this month?
So you can hear that echo on her vocal. So when we do get into moments like this, where even if it's not God First Sunday, even if someone is just speaking for a moment, quickly mute that reverb, mute that delay, because we've got that echo happening and it is distracting. So some good moments there. I want to point out like a positive, that's something that this is just something that I would love everyone or our video directors to be intentional about, is when we are looking at who's leading a song. We'll go right here. And so this song is Split Led by Ryan and Lanisa. And so Ryan led the first part of the song, and verse 3, Lanisa comes in. And so this happens great. I don't love this shot prior to it, but the transition into Lanisa leading that verse is really good. And it just gives you something to think about in terms of intentionality behind the shots that you're choosing. Really simple. So just, she's about to start singing her part, switch to her before she starts singing. The more we can stay on top of stuff like that, rather than having to switch to somebody after they start singing because we were a couple seconds behind or we weren't expecting it or whatever, it just feels like a better experience online. So just something to think about. And then the very last thing, or the second to last thing, that I want to look at is this transition here. Boom. So at this point, Pastor Anthony has come up and he's praying us out of worship into the message. And what happens here is while he's praying, the lights in the background change in the middle of the prayer. Now, in service, to people who are actually in service live, it's not a huge deal. For the most part, people have their heads bowed, their eyes closed, they're looking down, whatever. They don't really notice this, and that's why, I assume, why this happened at this point in time. But online, it's jarring, because online people are watching regardless of whether there's a prayer. They're not really looking down, they're not really closing their eyes, maybe a little bit, but for the most part, they're watching. And I'm going to play this, and it's just weird that in the middle of his prayer, the background lights change. And I'll let you just see what I'm talking about here.
To do something in all of our lives. So God, we're here, and I pray that we would be
Back up a little bit so you can see it again.
Jesus reminds us to hold tight to hope, to hold tight to your promises. Thank you for your faithfulness, God, and we know, Lord, that in this moment that you just desire to do something in all of our lives. So God, we're here, and I pray that we will be present.
From a direction standpoint, transitions like that, especially where the entire back wall is going to change, let's wait for a bit of a lighter moment to do that. Wait for the prayer to be finished. It just gives us a better transition visually, especially for our online congregation. Just a little bit less distracting, a little bit more intentional in terms of transitions. The last thing that I want to talk about is a little bit of a discussion question that I want to pose. And it's basically this. I noticed that by third service yesterday, Pastor Anthony, during the message, he was going out of shot a lot more frequently. We were more delayed on our transitions. Our cues were a little bit behind. Pretty much all around the board, it was a poorer production experience, production value than the other two services. And I get it. We've been through service twice now. This is the third time we're experiencing it. We know what's going to happen. But we have to remember that all three services are just as important. Every single person that's watching, even if we only have one person watching one service, is still just as important. And so is there something that we need to do as a church staff, as production, myself as production director, in preparation, in order to help you guys stay focused and stay more locked in throughout service? We can't do things. We don't have enough volunteers to have different camera operators every service, and so or different sound people every service, or different fill in the blank. As much as I think that would be beneficial, but with that in mind, what can we do to help you guys do a better job, to stay more locked in, to stay focused during the entirety of our services on Sunday, not just the first two or the first one? Just a question that I have some thoughts on it already, but if you do have some thoughts on it, please feel free to share that with me, because I really do value your insight. I do value your opinions, and I want to make sure that we've given you everything that you can to do your job to the best of your ability. Hey guys, we have practice rehearsal on Thursday night at 6:30. This is an open invitation. We always have rehearsal Thursday nights, unless for some reason there's some specific reason we can't. But for the most part, we do have it. So if you ever need some extra practice, just want to come in, just hang out, even during that time, please feel free to do so. I want that invitation to be open. For those of you who are serving Sunday morning, I will see you at 7:20 for production huddle. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys stay dry. And we'll talk soon. Thanks.